Chapter 7. A lifeboat drifting in an ocean of the cosmos. Allie awoke to see a white note resting on top of a stack of folded clothes, sitting on the nightstand next to her. She sat up from her bed and read the note.
Hope these fit. Feel free to come down whenever you're ready. Otto.
Allie picked up the stack of clothes and examined them for a moment. She lifted the shirt up to her chest and compared the size. Practically a perfect fit, although the red and white plaid style didn't suit her fashion taste. Nevertheless, she was happy to finally have a set of clothes that fit her. As Allie slipped the shirt on over her head, she stared down at herself and quickly realized she had put it on backward. Looking down at the shirt tag below her chin, she noticed a name written on it. Allie took the shirt off and turned the neck inside out to read the name written in pen. Area. She slipped the shirt back on the right way. Reaching to grab the soft, navy blue pair of pants waiting for her, she smelled a faint aroma of maple syrup from down the hall. Her stomach growled viciously as she put the pants on. She placed her hand on her stomach, trying her best to soothe the growling beast. Following her nose, she made her way over to the bedroom door and out onto the balcony, where she could hear the sweet, sizzling sound coming from beyond the dining room below. She glanced at the room next to her to see Sem sitting on the bed inside, speaking with the elderly man from earlier. The elderly gentleman, who now wore a white shirt, sat slouched with his head down, the bed blankets draped across his lap. Allie watched Sem speak, unable to make out his words, although she had a good idea of what he was telling him. The old man gazed up at Sem with tears in his eyes. He leaned forward and hugged Sem around the chest. Sem leaned back with his arms out to the side. The man sobbed into Sem's waistcoat. Sem wrapped an arm over the elderly man's shoulder and patted him on the back to comfort him. His expression was blank, as though the man's thanks meant little to him. Sem turned his gaze towards Allie standing at the door. He looked away from her with a voided stare and pressed the door closed with the end of his foot, still patting the old man on the back as he sobbed. Allie immediately regretted eavesdropping, knowing all too well how fragile such a moment was. It wasn't every day someone heard their life was saved by a complete stranger with seemingly no need for compensation. She walked downstairs and into the dining room. One end of the table had been cleared of its stack of dishes, while the other was still cluttered and unattended. To her left, Otto stood at the stove in the kitchen, flipping pancakes in a pan. She walked in as he turned around and placed another pancake on a plate.
Sleep well?
He asked as he poured another batch of pancake mix into the pan over the stove.
Well as can be, I guess.
Allie looked around the kitchen, which was, predictably, as messy as the rest of the house. Dirty dishes filled the sink, while the counters remained in need of cleaning, and the trash obviously hadn't been taken out in a while.
Care for a pancake?
Asked Otto. Allie assessed the condition of the pancakes in comparison to the rest of the kitchen. Surprisingly, they appeared perfectly fine, if not better and far cleaner than anything else in the house.
Sure.
Great. There's butter and juice in the fridge if you'd like. You can just set them on the table out there.
Allie walked over to the fridge and opened it. Once more, to her surprise, the fridge wasn't full of rotten food.
Sorry for the state of the place. We've been needing to clean up, but just never had the time. Butter should be on the top shelf,
said Otto, making another plate of pancakes and placing it on the counter behind him.
It's okay. My apartment back home isn't much better.
Allie replied as she grabbed the butter and juice, then placed them on the table in the dining room in the next room. She noticed Sem coming down the stairs in the foyer. He walked over to the dining room, striding past Allie without even a glance in her direction, and over to Otto in the kitchen.
You tell him?
Yeah. Could you grab me a plate to take upstairs?
Sure. Take one already made off the counter.
Sem grabbed a plate of food and pulled a clean fork from the drawer. He once again didn't acknowledge Allie as he left. She shot him a bitter look, feeling annoyed that he didn't even have the courtesy to say good morning to her. She quickly soothed her annoyance to give him the benefit of the doubt, since he had rescued her, and she had been eavesdropping on him. She grabbed a plate off the counter next to Otto, then walked back into the dining room and sat down at a clean place at the table. She sat for a moment, noticing there wasn't any silverware on the table.
Do you have any silverware?
Otto placed the last few pancakes on the last plate.
Shoot. 1 second, kiddo.
He placed the pan back down on the stove, turned it off, and grabbed 2 clean forks and a clean spoon from the drawer.
Here you go. Sorry, all the rest are dirty. But feel free to take one of the forks.
He handed a fork to Allie and sat the other fork down on the table before grabbing the other plates from the counter. He placed the plates down on the table and sat down next to her.
My wife and I were forced to compete over whose cooking was always better. She made the best lasagna, while I made the best pancakes.
Allie cut into her pancake and studied him. He had spoken of his daughters twice now, and now he had mentioned he had a wife. She was beginning to wonder why he was still here and not with them. Why would a man, who obviously cared so deeply for his family, bother spending his days with a shallow rescuer in a dirty mansion? Allie took a bite of her pancake and thought. Otto wasn't wrong. The pancakes were delicious, though not as good as her mother's. Thinking back on her mother and father, Allie recalled her 2 biggest questions for Otto, and now seemed like the best time to ask.
Not to be a bother, but what happened to my clothes?
Otto laughed to himself.
What is it?
Asked Allie, confused.
That's still mostly a traveler's mystery for all of us. Sem and I each have our own theories about why it happens when you pass between worlds. His explanation is overly complicated, in my opinion.
What's yours?
Well, I went to college studying all manners of scientific things in school. But in the end, I'm still no physicist. I'm an electrical engineer. But if I had to put forth my best guess, it would be that it has to do with your clothes not being part of you as a person. A bridge between worlds is often tiny, microscopic practically. So, since all it took was one of your molecules getting pulled into the bridge to end up somewhere else, like water down a drain, everything that was attached to you at a microscopic level followed. Everything except your clothing, earrings, watches, and so on, that is.
I see.
Like I said, that's just my theory. Luckily for Sem, that doesn't happen when he walks through the Ark Gateway. He isn't pulled through a space the size of a keyhole. The Ark just opens the whole doorway together, letting him pass through freely, clothes and all.
Allie nodded.
So that machine downstairs, it just opens doorways between worlds?
Otto swallowed a bite of pancake.
Yes, for the most part. It opens a wormhole, as one would call it back home, between this world and all the others. Like I said, a doorway for some to walk through, basically. The only doorway to anywhere in the universe.
Did you build it?
Oh, heavens no. I'm nowhere near bright enough to build anything that complex. The people who did are gone now. But, luckily for us, I at least learned a few things about it from them. Sem knows far more about it than I do, though I hate to admit it.
Allie looked down at her pancakes. Her head was still overloaded with questions, but she only had one she really wanted to ask.
Not that I'm not grateful for your hospitality or saving my life, but I would really like to be on my way back home as soon as possible.
Otto glanced up at her and back down at his pancakes for a moment nervously, giving Allie an unsettling feeling. He turned his attention to Sem, who was walking down the stairs.
You gonna be alright?
Yeah, he'll be fine. I hate it when they cry.
replied Sem as he sat down in a chair in front of the table. Sem pulled his plate closer and began engulfing the pancakes in large bites.
Hey, Tarzan, chew with your mouth closed. We have guests,
said Otto with a look of disgust.
Oh, we always have guests.
Speaking of which, did you even say good morning to Allie?
Good morning, Allie,
said Sem with his mouth full as he continued to eat. Otto stared at Sem. Sem set his fork down and looked up at him with a mouthful of food. He grinned at him humorously with his cheeks full of food.
Smartass,
said Otto, turning back to his food. The sound of the front door opening and closing captured the trio's attention. A dark-skinned, middle-aged man wearing a well-tailored gray suit walked in and rushed over to speak with them.
Otto, we've got problems,
said the man.
Allie, Leo. Leo, meet Allie. Leo's our elected official around here for our district.
Yeah, and our designated war reward.
Sem muttered under his breath as he swallowed.
I'm not going to be your official for very long if you don't do something.
Leo leaned over with his hands on his knees, visibly out of breath.
What do they want me to say?
They want news. I rushed here as fast as I could to warn you that...
Before Leo could finish his sentence, another man strode in through the door. He wore a blue and white uniform, and his hair was cut short. His eyes bulged with anger behind his tinted glasses.
Otto!
The man yelled with a deep, ferocious voice, slamming the door closed behind him as he walked in. Leo sighed.
Raz is coming.
Roz stomped to the table and stood next to Leo, his arms crossed.
Glad to see you too, Raz,
said Sem, never taking his eyes off his plate as he stole another pancake from Otto's plate. Otto looked over at Sem with an annoyed stare.
Cut that chit-chat. What's this I hear about you requesting a temporary leave of absence?
Allie, meet Raz. Asphodel's head of military operations.
And our designated party pooper,
mumbled Sem, shoveling another forkful of pancake into his mouth.
We need a break, Raz. Sem and I are burned out as is, and we need time away from our work.
Well, while you two are sipping pina coladas on vacation, who's going to be looking out for those other worlds?
Roz crossed his arms.
We wouldn't stop helping people, Raz. You know I would never let that happen. We just want to put our other work with the equations on hold for a while.
You seem to be relaxing and enjoying pancakes right now. I don't see any reason why you should get extra time.
Look at the state of the house, Raz.
Leo grumbled as he gestured to the rooms around him.
Lazy is what I call it,
Roz replied. Roz stepped over to the table, grabbed a pancake off Allie's plate, and began eating it with his bare hands.
Is there more you came to tell us, Raz, or did you just want to yell?
Asked Otto, his voice betraying his exasperation.
Yes, matter of fact, I came to tell you that your request is being looked over by the council later today. So I'd suggest you be there. Otherwise, the meeting will become a discussion about giving the Guardian Project over to me.
He took a bite of the pancake in his hand, peered down at it in disgust, and threw it down on Allie's plate. Allie jumped in surprise as the pancake hit her plate.
If you took over, we'd have chaos in every world, Raz.
That would be like letting a bull loose in a cosmic china shop. One with tinted glasses,
said Sem. Leo nodded, putting a finger to Roz's chest.
Sem was chosen and trained to be a guardian because he understands the responsibility it comes with. The only responsibility you ever seem to take on is stressing everyone out.
Roz slapped Leo's hand away from him.
Touch me like that again. You might just end up like your mother. Now, if you two slackers don't show some real progress, you'd best say goodbye to your home and your project. Then it'll be me running this shit show around here.
Roz plucked a toothpick from his pocket and put it between his lips.
Thanks for those inspiring words, Raz. I'll remember them next time I'm out in the field. I should put them on a poster in my room.
said Sem as he sat back in his chair and grinned.
Now, if you wouldn't mind, we're having breakfast.
Roz gazed across the table and gave Sem a deep glare. Turning his back, he grumbled to himself and made his way toward the door.
Today, Otto. 1400 hours. Not a minute later.
I'll be there, Roz,
replied Otto as the front door slammed shut.
Every time he walks in the room, it feels like paint starts peeling from the walls.
Was that all you needed to warn us about, Leo?
No, unfortunately. I have even more bad news for you two. There's word that a few of the districts have started organizing here in town. That movement for progress is starting to become even more of an itch down our backs we can't scratch.
I thought they already had a union.
Otto furrowed his brows.
No, this isn't a union, and it isn't a peaceful protest either. Far uglier. More like a torch and pitchfork party.
Is there anything we can do? Tell them we're making progress?
That excuse is growing stale really fast. I've tried. I've given them every politician excuse I can give. They're working on it. They're making progress. We expect results in the next few days. On and on. Every excuse I can think of. You guys are going to have to start giving them some real progress reports. Or it's going to get really ugly around here. Fast.
It's already ugly. What? Do they expect me just to tell every detail in a typed-up report? That'll just slow us down even more. Tell them we're running a test with Merrick on the next mission. That's the best news I can give. We're getting closer.
I will. But I don't expect that to be enough for them for very long. Your request won't make things any easier. I wouldn't hold my breath for it. Without a deadline, they'll be nipping at our heels until we finally fall all together.
Leo rubbed his hand through his hair rigorously.
Are you going to be at the meeting later?
Of course. I practically live downtown now defending you two. Haven't been home long enough to take my shoes off most days. I'll try to make a case for you guys, but I don't know how much good my word will do.
Well, thanks anyway, Leo.
Don't mention it. Anyway, you guys enjoy your breakfast, and it was a pleasure to meet you, Allie,
said Leo as he reached down to shake Allie's hand. Allie turned toward him and took Leo's hand. Leo lifted her hand up to his lips and kissed it with a smooth grin looking up into her eyes.
Get out of here, snake in the grass,
said Otto as he elbowed Leo in the side.
It's okay to hit him. He's a politician. He's used to abuse from the people,
said Sem, wiping his finger through the butter on his plate before licking it off.
You politicians are all the same.
What? Good-looking and wise beyond our years?
Asked Leo, staring up into Allie's eyes.
No, you're liars and baby kissers.
Leo looked up at Sem and let go of Allie's hand.
It comes with the job.
Get out of here.
Otto laughed, nudging Leo once more.
All joking aside, it was very nice to meet you, Allie,
said Leo as he walked to the front door.
Thanks, and the same to you.
Allie smiled nervously.
Don't forget, Otto!
Leo yelled as he opened the front door.
I won't,
muttered Otto in a drowsy tone as Leo closed the door behind him.
Maybe if everyone turns on us, we can give him up as a sacrifice to bargain for more time.
I don't think they would want him,
replied Otto as he scooped the last bit of pancake into his mouth. Allie sat in her chair for a moment, reflecting back on the conversation that had just played out around her. She quickly remembered she still had a question to ask before their meal had been interrupted. She turned her attention to Otto, eager to get the answer she wanted.
What did Leo and Roz mean by all of that?
Otto looked over at Allie. He took a deep breath and placed the spoon on his plate.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but could you just please tell me when I can go home?
Otto and Sem stared at each other from directly across the table for a moment.
You haven't told her yet, have you?
Said Sem as he gazed back at Otto.
I was just about to.
Allie's heart sank.
Tell me what?
She asked. Otto turned his chair toward her and placed his hand close to hers on the table. A serious expression fell over his face. Allie grew worried, not sure she was ready for what she was about to hear.
Not so easy, is it?
Said Sem. Otto shot a stern look back at him. He turned his gaze back to Allie.
Allie, we can't take you back.
What do you mean? You just said that the machine downstairs could take you to any world. Why can't it take you back to mine?
There lies the issue at hand. It's not that simple. We can only use it to find worlds that are in danger, ones that are about to be destroyed, ones that send out the distress signal. We can't attach to any one specific world. It would be like throwing a dart at a dartboard and trying to hit the bullseye miles away. There are infinite number of worlds out there, and no clear way to lock on to just one that's not in danger.
Allie looked at Sem, a sense of disbelief overtaking her.
So you're saying I'm stuck here?
She asked with a tremble in her voice.
We all are.
Said Otto, a look of dread in his eyes.
That's what Raz and Leo were talking about. We've been trying to find a way to use the Ark to get everyone back to their own worlds. But we haven't had much luck so far. Now people are starting to grow impatient.
Allie sat in her chair, looking down at the table. She could only think of one person she wanted to see. Her dad. Never in her life did she long to hear his voice as desperately as she did now. It was as though he'd passed away along with everyone else she ever knew. Her whole life, now gone in an instant.
Asphodel is our lifeboat, adrift in an ocean of the cosmos. Here, at least, we have a chance to still live our own lives. I'm sorry, kiddo.
Allie stared off into space. Her life had now taken another unexpected turn. She felt a sickness sprout in her stomach.
I need to go lie down.
She wiped the gathering tears from her eyes. She stood up from the table and made her way back into the next room and up the stairs. Sem and Otto sat silently watching her walk away, both carrying the same familiar look of dread. Allie shut the door behind her. Unable to make it to the bed, she dropped to the floor on her knees. She sobbed, her hands clutching the sheet next to her. Everyone was gone. She would never see her father, mother, or Carly ever again. Never before in her life had she longed to see her hometown, to hear the voices and laughter of her friends and family, to sleep in her own bed, surrounded by everything she cherished, yet had taken for granted. Everyone probably thought she was dead, and right now, stranded in a world like a deserted island, she felt she might as well be. Sem and Otto could hear Allie sobbing in her room.
Told you, it's not easy.
I never said it was. I just wanted to take the burden off you with everything that's happened.
Otto stood up from the table and collected the dishes.
Did you really have to give her clothes?
They were the only ones around here clean in her size. Besides, you have to admit she does remind you...
Don't say it.
Otto stood in the doorway to the kitchen, his back toward Sem.
You ever compare her to someone else again, I'll make sure Raz is given guardianship.
You know you'd never do that.
Some days, I'd gladly give it up.
Sem turned his gaze up toward the stairs. The sounds of Allie's sobs still echoed through the house.
Days like today.
Hi everyone, this is Darren Oliver, the voice of Viola from Sem Adventures Across Time. If you've enjoyed your adventure across time so far, be sure to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/TS Wieland. With your support, you'll gain early access to the next chapter of the book, and even a copy of the book itself. With your contribution, more thrilling and inspiring audiobooks can be made every day through the hard work, time, and dedication of voice actors and artists all across the world, including myself, all working together. From all of us here in the world between worlds, we'd like to thank you for joining us on our adventures.